All right, Justin Zehr, we're back again.
Back again.
The longest running guest on
I love it.
on the show, right?
It's
I think
awesome.
this is number 4.
Yeah, I think so. Fourth
Yeah,
time.
4th time.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I can't. I've become like the Bill Burr of the Seth Rollins. That's what I've become of the Mark Barone show. That's great.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, the first time we got to know you.
Yep.
The second time we talked about, was it confidence?
Yes.
Or
I think confidence was the last time.
Yeah, and then
I was on.
and then before that it was. Oh, it was. I forget.
Well, that's never a good sign. I don't know that that's a good sign. If
No.
you can't remember what we
No,
talked
it was good because I remember like I had asked you. Like when? No, I think it was confidence because I think I
It may have
asked
been.
you like when did you feel like the least confident?
Oh yeah.
Right?
I think you're right. I
Right?
think you're accurate.
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
and then the last time, wasn't like hope or faith. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back through.
Yeah.
But this time, I feel like when we talked about, like, I think a good thing to talk about is like overcoming sadness,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And just as a disclaimer, this isn't us talking about depression,
Right.
clinical depression,
Right.
right? So we're not doctors. These are just things that we've learned and what we've gone through to help us on a non-clinical
Right.
level, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's
there,
not medical
Yes.
advice.
yes,
Yeah,
for
you're right.
sure. Because I think
Yep.
there is a time to see,
Yes.
and
I
seek professional
1000%.
help
I agree.
and all that. So it's definitely not, oh, you're not depressed, you're just sad. Get
Right.
over it, right?
No.
Because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like there is stuff going on. But I would say that it starts like a lot of what we go through, like starts with sadness,
Yeah.
right? We all have experienced it. We've all been there. We've all had different types of sadness. So, well, I guess to start is how do we, I guess a good question to ask is how do we, I guess it's kind of a weird, strange question, but how do we avoid getting sad? Like, what are steps that we can take? It's kind of like, what's the word when you're preventative maintenance?
Yeah.
So what's a good preventative maintenance to do the best we can to not become sad? Like, what would you
Sure.
say?
Sure.
What are some thoughts on that?
I think this is a great question. I think it's a profound question. So first of all, this is probably not the answer you would want.
That's good. I'm glad.
Immediately out the gate. I
Bring
don't
that
think.
mic just a little bit closer, baby.
I don't think. Yeah, sure. I don't think avoiding sadness is a reasonable goal. I don't think the avoidance of sadness is a reasonable goal.
Like live your life to not be sad.
Yeah, it's
Like,
it's impossible.
That can't be the target.
Right.
I'm just doing this to not be sad.
In fact, I would go as far as to say that being human comes with sadness. And if it doesn't, there's a problem. If you're not experiencing sadness from time to time, I would suggest that looking at the world that we live in, there's probably something wrong, potentially, because the world we live in hurts and is a tough place to live. And there's brokenness and tons of things to potentially be sad about. So the avoidance of sadness, I think, is an unachievable goal in a realistic world. I also think that oftentimes sadness is a mark of love. In other words, if you're feeling sad, a lot of the times I think that it is because of a love that you had for something, a person, a love or a passion for something of importance that you've lost. So I think sadness, if anything, should be craved. In fact, if we we said we're not going to talk about depression because there is a difference. I definitely agree.
Well, we can. We can
well,
talk about all
about
that.
it,
But we're not professionals.
we're not professionals.
So we can't. We're not diagnosing or
not going to
telling
diagnose
you cures for clinical depression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times when people are experiencing depression, one of the hardest things is that you are oftentimes numb. You don't feel.
So there isn't the sadness or the happiness,
Right.
Or
It's
the
your
guilt,
it's
or
apathy.
the pain. Yeah.
Apathy. It's the numbness. It's the thud. It's like when you sit on your legs and then you try to stand up and it's asleep, except for it's with all of your emotions. And so you can't feel and you can't figure out why you don't feel. And there's nothing you can do to try to stir it up and make it work. You're turning the key, you're putting it in, you're turning the key, and nothing is coming to life, right? And I think that, in my experience from my past, that's what depression was for me. So I think that the numbness or the not feeling sad is a big indicator, that there might be, you need help. You need to get help, right? Professional help, seek help.
Okay, so let's interrupt you, but to
Yeah.
point that. So when you're in that place and the sign, sadness is a good sign
Yeah.
that you're actually feeling.
Yes.
And if you don't have that sadness, you need to check
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even feeling sad.
Exactly.
Something's happening here that isn't
Right.
normal in the scope of my brain's chemistry and all that stuff that's happening.
Exactly.
I should be sad, but I feel nothing.
Right.
And that should be a sign that you need to definitely
Make some changes, right?
and get help.
And
seek help and all that,
yeah, and I think in other words, another way to say it, and I don't think you should go out your front door looking for things to be sad about, right?
Sure.
I don't think you should put on a show. I don't think you need to go into the street and rend your shirt, rip it, and
you're
throw
not looking
ashes.
for sadness.
Right. Don't have to do that. But I'm suggesting that it's not that hard to find it if you exist as a human being. And when you do find it, don't despair, because you should actually be grateful. You should be grateful that you are here to feel and experience that sadness. Doesn't mean you have to want it forever. It's just, in a weird way, almost you can get excited that you're feeling genuinely.
I could see that. Yeah, because it's experience, right? Like
Yeah.
you're experiencing life, and in a way, sadness is a negative experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the sort of twist that sadness, though it may be negative, is extremely positive,
Yeah.
right? It has the positive effect.
Absolutely.
And it's okay, so kind of like let's go on that. So we tend to think of negative naturally as a negative, sadness as a negative. So in what way is sadness? I get you already just went on about just it's showing that you're feeling, right?
Yeah,
It's showing that you have
yeah.
empathy. It's showing that you have love and care. And
Right.
whether it's self-love, self-care, and you're sad because
Right.
something happened to you,
Yep.
or you have love, care for somebody else and you're sad for them. What other ways, like, why else is sadness actually not necessarily a negative other than those that you've already
Yeah.
pointed
I like to think of feelings as like seasons of the year. Like we're coming up on spring, right?
Yeah.
It's like literally changing. It was lighter out today. It's wonderful. The sun's coming out. And in fact, this time of year, we're at the end of what a lot of people would refer to as seasonal depression. And we're coming to a new season. And suddenly the sun pops out, the windows open up, and there's fresh air coming through, and suddenly the clouds are gone, and we start to feel good again, and we're into something new, right? And give it a few weeks, maybe a month, We'll see flowers. We'll see birds.
Yeah, life.
We'll see life. But here's the news. Here's the bad news, good news. 7 months from now, we will again see death, right? We will see fall. We will see going back into winter. It's cyclical. I think it was Tom Hanks was doing an interview with a bunch of actors.
Yeah, I saw that.
I wish someone told me earlier
that this too
shall pass. So sadness, the emotion we're talking about, passes. It's not forever. It comes. It's a reminder that we've loved. It's a reminder that we feel. It's a reminder that we are human. And the other side of it that's positive is it will pass. And when it passes, we will learn this other emotion, joy. Because on the other side of sadness is joy. And you can't fake joy. Joy is not happiness. Joy and happiness are two different things. Joy is genuine, authentic gratitude that comes from the heart, comes from inside. And so I think another positive of sadness is that when you get out of it, you feel better than you have in a more authentic and real way.
So experiencing the sadness has created just the fact of having the sadness has then created this, what's the word, this like launch pad for joy, right? Without the sadness, you wouldn't be like the capacity, the sadness, the amount of sadness is reflected by the capacity of the joy, right? Like, right? Without that sadness, without that deep pain, there wouldn't be as deep a joy, right? There, it's like the sadness is like the reflection of the joy, or the joy is the reflection of the sadness, right? Yeah. So without that, you don't even have, like, you can't, there's no comparison, right? There's no, yeah, that's cool.
Well, it's kind of like, I've got a little bit, I like analogies and I like metaphors and analogies. And so it's kind of like a balloon. If you think of yourself like a balloon and your emotions are the air filling you up, or the helium, you expand with the expanse of your sadness. You as a whole person expand and stretch to a different size that you've never been before. Even when the sadness flows back out, you have expanded. And now on the other side of sadness is this other ability to be a human, this joy, right? And then maybe this is another answer to your question, purpose. There's always purpose to pain. And so when sadness, and you've been sad for a long time, and you're thinking, when is this never going to end? When am I going to get out of it? I think one possibility that is positive is when you get out of it, you're now equipped to help other people get out of it. You're equipped with purpose.
For sure. Pain definitely, in my opinion, is the best teacher.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we don't really learn anything from good things that happen.
Yeah.
Good experiences are amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it seems that good experiences are more of like, I don't know if this makes sense, but they're more of life's accidents. And pain is the intentionality of life. Yeah. Right? The pain is brought to us by whatever to teach us and to push us and to guide us and to make us and to form us. Yeah. Right? It seems like pain is very intentional. It's like there's a reason that it's there. Yeah. Where good times, they're like accidental. Right. Like it just happened. Right. Right. And then it's over. And they're just memories, they're photos. And they're great and they're wonderful and they add color. Right. But the foundation of life is like built on pain.
Yeah.
At least what from my experience
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
everything I've ever learned was from pain. It's from going through a painful experience,
Right.
whether it's my mess up or somebody else's mess up or whatever the situation was. I've only really ever learned anything from pain.
Right.
And really it's crazy. Even like as a carpenter,
Yeah.
I've only learned from mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can't do that again, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
that messed that up. Don't do that. You know, you need to let the floor level or dry before you put
Right.
a substrate on top of it.
Right. Yep.
Because if you don't, a week later you're going to be walking on it and it's
Yeah.
going to be crunching underneath it.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
then it's like, okay, well, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Learn
yeah.
from that pain, right?
Yeah.
From that mistake. So, and you could take it like at anything. With no pain, there's no gain.
Yeah.
Right? That's not just some cliche.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're describing is that sadness it for you, and I would agree. This is actually a great point. Is that your mistakes or pain teaches humility.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
the time.
Absolutely.
Or I think that if you allow pain to do what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
If you, and I guess we're kind of equating sadness and pain together. I don't really get like, for me, I just think more of pain than sadness per se. I don't really get sad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's where, I don't know. I just like to be sad. It's like, is that like kind of feeling like, oh, I'm like down in the dumps kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, sad is a tough word for me. Cause no matter how if I'm just feeling down,
Yeah.
right? Feeling down. It's like, well, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I'm feeling.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm sad. It doesn't really change the work I have to do. Right. Still have all these roles to fill, you know, and still, so the happy, sad thing is tougher for me. But pain.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very distracting.
Yeah. It can be.
That when you're going through something, if you're going through the death of a loved one,
Yeah.
right, or a friend betrays you,
Right.
or just something but again, I'm not trying to minimize other people's pain, right? I'm not trying to minimize when other people are feeling sad just because it's dark out,
Right.
and that's their pain. That's what they're going through. I'm not trying to minimize any of that. Whatever is happening in your life that is painful. For me, it tends to be things that are those are the things that stop me in my tracks.
Right. Right.
You know, I remember like a previous relationship where they were, you know, whatever happened, and I'm shattered. My heart's broken, right?
Yeah.
And now I can't work, I can't eat, I can't sleep. You know, everything is just that to me is like sadness. Like now you're broken.
Yeah.
Right? That's the crippling one. But that's the ones that I'm talking about that you learn.
Yeah.
Right? You know, when a lover betrays you, you can either be defeated, right? And just fucking hate women.
Right. Yeah.
And allow it to or men, you know, and allow it to create a whole, like a darkness inside of you, right? Allow that pain to make you a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Or you can learn.
Yeah.
Right? Why? What did I do? Did I do something? Like what was I being? I mean, I'm a little bit harder on men. I'm harder on myself.
Yeah.
You know, I think that we can go there another time, but look at it and make like learn from it.
Yeah.
You know, that happened for a reason.
Right.
Whether it's you or her, whatever, figure it out. But it's like allowing that pain to handle it in a way that you learn from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel pain is extremely necessary in life.
Yeah.
Just like what you were saying, sadness.
Yeah.
It's very necessary. And so, yeah. So if we allow it to work in us and humble ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And allow it to show us where we fucked up,
Right.
where we can grow,
Yeah.
right? Where we can emotionally become more mature or whatever the situation is, then pain can change us like nothing else, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you think about it as a season, you think about it as like a passing emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You think about how I think you got to be able to. I think how do you learn? How do you become a student of the pain, right? And I think that's a great question. I'm curious what your thoughts are on it. I've got some thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts. Like, how do you do that? How does Mark embrace and learn from the pain?
Yeah, so I don't know if it sounds psychotic, but I really try to choose painful things. You know,
Yeah.
I really get really bored.
Yeah.
You know, I need to do things that are hard,
Yeah.
that are difficult, or I'm just lazy and just want to lay around and then I'm absolutely depressed and miserable. If I'm not doing something that's hard, something that's challenging, something that's pushing me, something that hurts, something where I have something to lose,
Right.
I feel I just like I'm wasting my life.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think it's just because our lives are so easy. Now, let me phrase that. Our lives are in this generation, right?
Yeah.
In 2025, people have very difficult lives.
Mm-hmm.
But when you compare 2025 to, you know, a 500 years ago, 800 years ago, 1,000 years ago, like you were living to survive.
Yeah.
Right? It was, everything was hard.
Yeah.
There was nothing easy, right? Everything was hard.
Yeah.
So if you just wanted food, you needed to go hunt and get the food,
Right.
you know, and then after, you know, the whole process of it all. So I think hard for men and women in very different ways.
Yeah.
But men were made, like men had to conquer, like they had to attack, they had to go, they had to get, they had to protect. It was a very physically draining, hard life.
Yep.
And it's just not anymore.
No, it's different.
It's very, very different.
Yeah.
Very different. We don't have the physical toiling, at least here in America.
Yeah.
I can only speak for us.
Absolutely.
We don't really have that anymore. So we don't think it's that important to be really physically fit.
Yeah.
Because why do you need to be?
Right.
Like, you don't need it.
Right.
You don't need to be really strong.
Yeah.
You don't need to be mentally strong.
Right.
You don't need to be physically strong and emotionally strong, because you can live your whole life in a very mediocre way.
Yeah.
Not really work out, not expand your mind, not expand your emotional relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
And make it.
Yeah.
And you can make it.
Yeah. Right.
You can get a job that's
true.
okay.
Yep.
You're okay with it. And, you can live alone, or you can have a partner that you're just okay with. And you can have friends you're just okay with. And you're just kind of hanging out, kind of doing your thing and just going through life. And whatever happens, all good.
Right.
No ambition, no drive. And you can not die.
Right.
1,000 years ago, that doesn't exist.
Right.
You're intentional, you're forceful, you're so now I think it's very important for all that whole rant. I think it's very important for us to choose hard things.
That's good. Yeah.
I think it's very crucial as men, choose things that are hard.
Yeah.
Choose something that's really hard. Whether it's weight training, whether it's fighting, whether it's starting your own business, whatever it is, like choose things that are very difficult and hard and that push you. And then it creates in you this primitive thing that we've lost.
Yeah.
We've just kind of lost that. And once you have that, you just become, I really feel that like you become great. If you look at all the best of anything, it was men or women, but we're talking about men because we're men right now. Let's talk about men. That freaking pushed themselves hard.
Right.
Where sacrificing everything. and they received the rewards of that, whatever that was, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I think what the question was, how do I, what I study pain? What was it like?
How do you become a student of the pain?
Yeah. So it's like do hard things, do really
Like
hard
choose
things,
it.
choose them
Choose it.
intentionally.
Yeah.
Something that is gonna really pull you and push you,
Yeah.
and it's gonna hurt, and
Yeah.
you're gonna want to quit. And then while you're in it, don't quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't quit, and
Right.
just feel that pain.
Right.
Right. And that's a good thing. Like
Yeah.
you started with.
Yeah.
I love that answer. It's
Yeah.
so true. It's like, how do you avoid pain? How do you avoid pain? How do you avoid sadness? Don't avoid it.
Don't.
Embrace it. Take
Yeah.
it. And know that it's changing you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd say is do really hard shit as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
You know, and then while you're doing that really hard shit, it's working inside of you, something that you don't even realize is happening.
Yeah.
And then you're just becoming great
Yeah.
in that process.
Yeah. I think that's good.
What about you?
Yeah, I think that's really good. I like your imagery of and your example of like existence and survival years ago, and I think it's pretty accurate. I think a lot of people today lack a sense of purpose for a lot of different reasons. And I
Sure.
think that's a whole different conversation.
That's a good one.
But I will say, like the tough things, having to do hard things, like having to hunt or like go out into a field and fight hunt for a buffalo, like way back, or survive a fight with a saber tooth, or God forbid, go to war, or defend your land. Whatever it is. Like, I'm not suggesting we need to go back to war or anything. I mean, certainly the world doesn't need more war, but I think there is a positive side to a physical enemy. And I think the reason our generation is in such agony is that it's a silent enemy. And that's why it's different hard. It's a different hard to live now, because when you have an opponent and you can see him across the ring, you know who you're fighting. But when you can't figure out why you feel so much pain or why you're so sad, and again, it's not even necessarily talking about diagnosable depression, but you just can't quite figure out why you feel the way that you do, and you don't know how to get out of it. It's very challenging. And so I think for me, becoming a student is usually trying to admit what I don't know. So, like, if, for example, if you're like, hey, Justin, I want you to give a speech on World War II, like, let's pretend I don't know anything about World War II. I know to go get information about World War II, right? And so if I were to choose my pain or choose sadness in order to become a student, I would have to begin learning about it to understand it a little bit. And so for me, like, becoming a student of it and becoming a learner so that I can learn from the pain and not repeat the pain, I want to become more knowledgeable about it. I want to kind of understand it. But I think giving myself a physical activity that I can put my energy into is usually a way that I can, because like I said, it's an invisible enemy sometimes.
Yeah, usually today, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll bring this really practical. We love to work out.
Yeah.
Right? I love working out. You love working
Yeah.
out. Last year when I was really having a hard time, there was a lot of question marks that I didn't understand. People, things, everything, career, all of it was a lot of question marks. Couldn't figure out all the answers. But what I understood was this. When I got up and got out of my bed in the morning and I put on my clothes and went to the gym, I was going to train harder than anyone I knew at the gym. Period.
Yeah.
Like, there are very few people I know that out-train me when I'm at the gym, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons we get along, because when you're working out, you're training on a different level, and so we connect.
Sure.
Because when we're there, we're training hard,
locked in.
and we're locked in, and so for me in the last season when I was really having a hard time, I think there was a very consistent physical way I could direct all those emotions. It's like, I don't understand the question marks, all these question marks. I don't know the answers. What I do know is I'm going to go to the gym today and I'm going to work out harder than anyone I know for a couple hours. And by the time I leave that gym, I know that I will have accomplished more than a lot of people would have accomplished in their entire day, maybe even week. And so I did it because it made sense. I lifted heavy circles, and I pushed all of my own limits day after day until there was something that made sense around me in other areas of my life.
That's so good. I just heard someone say the other day, raw action solves all. And what he was saying was, I'm not going to say who said it, because as soon as I say who said it,
like disqualify.
Everyone's going to disqualify what the person said.
Yeah.
But what they were saying was that if you don't know what to do something. Do something.
Yep.
Go get something. If it's in what he used as a example was, if it's raining outside, if you need rain and it's not raining, go do a rain dance. And he's like, obviously doing the rain dance isn't going to make the rain fall.
Right.
And he said, but doing that rain dance, you're doing something. Yeah. And he goes, what if happened? And he gave this example. Yeah. Someone sees you from afar, blah, blah, blah. And he said, when I was broke, I didn't have any money. I didn't know how to get money. So I ran because this guy was a kickboxer.
Yeah.
And he said, he just would run. He'd go running for 3 miles. He's broke. He doesn't know how to get money. He doesn't know who to talk to anybody. He doesn't know who, but he knows he's broke and he knows that he's struggling and he knows he's depressed. So I'm just going to run.
Right.
Raw action solves all.
Yeah.
And what you just said,
you
had all these questions. You didn't know, what do I do? What I do in this, and relationally, medically, financially, whatever it is. Well, I have to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do something hard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kick the shit out of that hard thing.
As hard as I can.
And okay, so what do you feel were the results of just that? Just take like that example you just gave. How do you feel what did you reap from that?
Self-respect. Self-respect. No, not even a hesitation. And that's the thing about, like, when you're feeling really sad or you're in a lot of pain, your self-esteem is just completely bottomed out. And it's, you don't feel good about anything. And so for me, being able to look in the mirror and just know, hell yeah, I held myself to a standard. I set a standard. I held myself to a standard. And I could look in the mirror and know that I had put in the work. Yeah. And I felt better.
Dude, it's so cool, man. I love this. This is where I've been for probably, I don't even know how many months. Do hard shit to feel better.
Yeah.
It's like you don't feel good, fucking do something hard. Right? Do something hard, man. And you're like, again, I don't want to blanket this over everybody, because some people do need medicine. Like it exists for a reason. It can be very helpful. Right? But so I keep throwing out that disclaimer.
Right.
But the majority of people start there. Right. I would say everybody start there.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody. Before you see the doctor, before you see the therapist, before you talk to a friend, fucking do something hard.
Yeah.
Do something that you didn't think you could do. Right? Even if that means go outside and walk a mile.
Yeah.
Right? Go lift just do something, like surprise yourself.
Right.
Right? If you're nervous, if you have like this anxiety of talking to people, just go up to somebody at the mall and just be like, hey, how are you? Like, how's your day going?
Yeah.
Do something hard, and you're going to feel that fucking serotonin. You're going to feel something here because you have that. I'm speaking more directly to you, to us, but men.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know the mind of a woman.
No,
I don't know what's happening. I can't speak for that.
Right.
You know, I don't know. But if you're a man, if you're a guy, that like start there. Start with something hard. Start with something, and I would highly suggest physically hard.
Yeah.
Because that's going to change your life.
It does.
You're depressed.
Yeah.
You're sad. You get fucking jacked.
Mm-hmm.
Go get a 6-pack
Yeah.
and then come and tell me that you're sad.
Yeah, because it ain't easy.
And the sadness is, I can almost guarantee you the sadness is going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
The pain's going to ease. You fucking get ripped.
Yep.
Go get ripped. Fuck everything else. Go to your job. Do your job. Do your stuff.
Right.
Do your relationship stuff. But devote yourself to be fit.
Yes.
And
yeah.
that fucking sadness,
It'll
that depression,
change.
is
It'll
going to change your life.
everything. Yeah.
I
it really will. Yeah.
I could bet my house on it.
Yeah.
That if you're sad and you start with that, you just start with your body.
Yeah.
Strong body is a strong mind.
That's right.
Right? Like just start there. And it's I think it'll change your life.
Yeah.
We both experienced
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. 1000%. You know, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about fitness. I mean, you can always go back to Arnold.
Sure.
Good old Arnold.
Yeah.
Him and all his flaws.
Yep.
But, you know, he's got a book called Be Useful. Came out last year, I think. He talks about it a lot. It was like a lesson his dad had for him. One of the main things he would just tell Arnold all the time was be useful and how important that is. And so, like, I think this goes for anybody, just being a human being. But if you're in a place of pain or sadness, I think make yourself available to be, and disclaimer on this too, make yourself available to be used or productive for the well-being of other people. Because when you are sad or you're in pain, it's really easy to look at the pain and look at yourself and lock into your own little bubble and say, I don't feel like going out today. And I don't feel like, you know, I just want to stay home, listen to sad music, you know, but here's the thing is if you are doing that, you are not being useful to the world, and your self-confidence, your self-respect is not being utilized. It's a muscle that needs to be stretched and worked on, right? It's got to be grown.
Of course.
So I think when you make yourself useful or accountable to other people, or you have to show up, it is another trick, I think, to when you're feeling sad or you're feeling pain. It just reminds you that I have something of importance that I am attached to, that if I don't show up, it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
There's a meaning to that. So I
100% agree.
dare I say, I work at I happen to work at a food pantry. I have for a few years, a few months off last year. In fact, when I was at my saddest last year, this is actually 100% true too. When I was at my saddest last year, one of the things that had changed in my life was I had stopped helping out at the food pantry on the weekends. And I didn't connect the dots, but I had a pretty good friend who's close to me who said, you know, I've noticed you've changed a lot in your life, and I know you're telling me that you're sad. You've got these different issues going on. But he said, you know, it seems to me like a big part of your life for the last like 2-3 years since you've become healthy again. So you started serving at the food pantry every weekend, and you were making tons of friends, and you were like playing a big role, and now you're in your own little bubble.
It's depressing, man.
You're not around. You're not helping out, and
you're not being of use.
And so, and I think there was definitely some truth to that. When I've since been plugged back in at the food pantry on weekends, and yeah, man, the sense of purpose that I would get from just being able to show up and help people got me out of my little bubble of focusing on my own problems.
Sure.
So that's a thing I would say. On that note, I think like just getting moving is so important when you're sad.
Absolutely.
Still waters breed disease.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, stagnation
is
terrible.
Awful. So I think you get moving, be useful, because the more you sit in your dirty underwear at home, not doing anything, you're going to feel worse.
yeah, dude, it's amazing. If it's amazing the potential that every human being has, right? We're all humans.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at great humans, they came a lot. If you let's look at fighters, right? Mike Tyson
One of the best ever.
came from hell.
Yeah.
You know, he was in a what is it called? Not a jail, but for young people.
Foster home, I think, or
Not
a foster home.
It's a detention center.
There you go.
He was in
Yeah,
a detention center, and there was a boxer that was working there. He would always be fighting people, stealing, just rough. He grew up in a terrible neighborhood,
Yeah.
just rough, pretty much abandoned. Right, he was pretty much abandoned, raising himself, and he was in this detention center. And there was there was a famous boxer there there was a boxer who worked at the detention center, and just long story short, he came from shit.
Yeah.
And typically most heavyweight boxers, most champions came from shit.
Yeah.
They were poor, they were broken,
Right.
they were abused, they were hurt, right? And so like I heard someone say one time, there's no middle class champions. Right? Because everything's just given to you, right? You wake up, there's food in the kitchen, right? You go to school and school's safe. You know, both parents are home.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not like,
Right.
you're just kind of going through the motions and you're okay. Like everything's okay. You know, you're healthy, you know, and you there isn't this fucking like drive, right? To get out of it. And to prove yourself and to be great, right? Because you're just okay.
Yeah.
So it's like without that pain, it's like a hungry. You're not like it's a well-fed dog, just strutting around the house, you know, just relaxing and you know, getting a little bit of sun, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know. But look at a fucking starving dog.
Yeah.
You know, a hungry dog. He's
Yeah.
ravenous. He's
Absolutely.
fucking nuts. He's crazy. You know, it's like, and without that pain, without that hardness, and that's why I think like it goes back to like we have to like create it. Like we have to create hard shit. Because I can speak for myself because I come from an easy life.
Yeah.
I've had an extremely easy life.
Yeah,
Two great parents, you know, great family, great friends. Financially, I've never had to worry about anything.
Right.
You know, I had certain stages where, you know, I was broke,
Right.
but not that broke.
Right.
My parents were right there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah.
no one would ever let me be poor.
Yeah.
You know, I was surrounded by people that were financially secure, so they could take care of me.
Yeah.
So there was never this like, if I don't do it, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So this creates this like you're like this walking around with this like comfy blanket, right?
Yeah.
But it's like fucking you gotta rip the fucking blanket off.
Yeah.
You know, you got like that pain that we're talking about, like the pain that you were going through.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like stagnation, staying still in that pain, but it's that fucking pain that pushed you, right? To fucking be what you are now, fucking jacked.
Yeah.
And back with the like working with the advocates, back in the food kitchen, back being useful. It's like it's the pain. Without that pain, without that struggle, you're just kind of just like you just fucking like this blob.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not, like you said, that you're not useful. You're not being like you're just there. You're just vapid.
Yeah. I mean, dude, there's no way that I'm going to say this that it's not going to sound a little bit arrogant. But I'm a firm believer that when I say something about myself, it doesn't necessarily take anything away from another person.
Of course.
So that's my disclaimer to
your
this
story.
comment.
Yeah.
But I love all the pain that I've had to go through. Having a chronic illness, having a lot of close calls, life and death close calls, my father not being around. I chose to go to a college that was formerly an all women's institution. It's now no longer a college. Became class president in that college. In the third year, it went co-ed. While there were people still protesting,
Guys being there.
I love the pain and the trials and the struggles I've had to have, and I would never, ever, ever give it away. In fact, I would keep all of, like, especially the chronic illness, right? It is so hard to live with a chronic illness. Mm-hmm. I could go on forever on that, but I would not trade it. If a genie walked up to me today and said, "Okay, I'm gonna take it away completely. You never have to experience it again. But when I take it away, I will take away the character that it has built in you."
Yeah.
I would tell him to hit the road.
Yeah.
I would rather have it. I like who I am because of the pain. I like how I've been formed. I like the furnace I've been in.
Yeah.
And the funniest part about it is, just like yourself, man, in a lot of ways, I'm still spoiled. Because compared to
sure.
Right? There are people all around the world that have it way worse. I mean, Lord have mercy on Gaza right now.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine being a child living in Gaza.
Yeah. We all have it extremely easy comparatively.
Right. We really do. And I love who I've had to become as a result of the pain. And I think when I walk through the gym every morning, and I've become a member of that community, and you've been there and seen my journey there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has been a lot of fun for me has been becoming a member of that community and walking around that gym, working out with the same people for the last few years, and knowing that by being there and advancing, that in some way, shape, or form, all the pain that I've had to go through is maybe inspiring someone.
Sure.
And so there's a sense of pride, dare I say, that comes from pain. And you don't ever want to like worship your pain, but at the same time, there is a sense of pride that is like.
And it's like what you said, it's a thankfulness.
It is joy, like, gratitude.
Yeah, like thank God that I went through this to become what I am.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking about fighters, right? You're talking about fighters. We're talking about Mike Tyson. I love Mike Tyson's story arc.
Yeah,
I love his character. I love who he is. This past weekend, Pereira lost.
Yeah, to
I don't even know the guy's
Maga
name.
something. So
Yeah,
I think he's
one of
someone
the
from
Russian.
from
The funny thing is, I don't
shit.
know all the facts yet, but from the reports that are coming out, the commentators were saying they're basically complaining or judging Pereira for his loss, saying that he was lazy.
Yeah, it was a decision. Like, it was a unanimous decision. Like, he lost every round.
And you know what it was? It seems to me like he wasn't hungry.
Maybe not. I mean, he'd been champion. Like, he lost the belt. Right? You have the belt. It's so much harder to defend it than to get it out here.
Another example.
Because they're hungry as fuck.
That's right. Here's another example. Conor McGregor, goofball.
Yeah.
That silly guy, right?
Yeah, it came from nothing.
But early Conor McGregor.
Yeah, hungry, wild.
Nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Ooh.
100%.
Conor McGregor with the shaved head.
Because he was broke. He was poor.
Broke. Everyone was picking on him. He got into fighting because he was bullied.
Absolutely.
And then he became the bully. And he lost the fight.
Yep, for sure.
So you see it time and time again that the hunger, when it's there, we'll go basketball. We'll go a different sport. America men's basketball 90s, okay? After Jordan... that era,
like 94,
this is
96.
where we get into LeBron, we get into Carmelo Anthony. We go to this basketball, the Olympics, and we get destroyed.
Oh yeah.
Right? We get destroyed because we had taken it for granted.
Yeah, you were at the top. Yep.
For so long that we dominate. We've got the NBA, right? So, and then what do? once we got dumped on our head and embarrassed, the basketball team went back and we destroyed everybody at the next one.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. When I couldn't lift a 5-pound weight on my first day at the gym because I was like falling over, you know, the hunger, I had a personal reason to want to get healthy.
Yeah.
There was a reason I was fighting. I had just come off the walker, had been using a cane at the time. I couldn't eat food for a year, couldn't leave home. You know, I've shared some of my story on the podcast. I was hungry to prove people to myself and to other people that I could be healthy again. I've got a good friend who, when I started working out for about 6 months, and I started working out just from home, he had commented, he said, quote, "What, are you a bodybuilder now?" And he laughed at me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use the exact language, but I looked him dead in the eye and I said, "You bet your ass," right? And I didn't use those exact words.
Sure.
And he said, I am. And because there's nothing I love more than having someone tell me I can't do something.
Sure.
And so, yeah, you get hungry when you've got a purpose, when you've been useful, or when someone doubts you.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And so it kind of goes back to like what we were saying too. What can be difficult is when you're comfortable.
Yes.
Right. So we're talking about pain, right? And actually, I love how you started it because it's real. Pain is good. It's very necessary. Don't avoid it. And then I would go even farther to say, create it.
Yeah.
Like create it.
Yeah.
Like, because without it, you're just there.
Yeah.
You're just there. It's just not. Yeah.
No, it's true.
And so being in this comfortable state that we can be in, you know, you have your house, we have our heat, you know, we have a job, you know, but what's cool is, I guess it's like what you said in the beginning is the cyclical, the cycle of life, right? So you were broken. We were all broken in a way. Like my story is different than yours, but similar in the sense where I was scrawny and just not, you know, just not liking myself, not liking my personality, not liking my body, not liking my mind, not liking anything about myself. And so it was like this self-inflicted, like champagne sort of pain, right? Nothing like a clinical disease. You know, it was just more not liking who I was. Yeah. Right. And wanting to be more. So then what it does is I was hungry. I was starving to be noticed, to be important, to be strong, you know, all that stuff. And so it fired me up. So of course you got that hunger, you got that drive, right? And talking about it being cyclical, eventually like you get to a point where no one could ever imagine you where you were. Right. Right. Like, well, wait a second. Like you used to have to walk with a cane, right? It's like, hold on, like look at you, you know what I mean? Or you used to weigh 130 pounds, like what? Like, come on, you know, I don't buy. And it's like, and then now you got to kind of start over, right? Because you can even, that one thing that you were just so driven to become, you're kind of there, right? And of course you could be more, but it's like, now what? Yeah. Right. Like I have, like, if like, say, like for me, like I can relate it to it in a body sense. Yeah. Like I can look in the mirror now and look at my body and feel way the fuck better than when I started. Yeah, absolutely. You know, of course there's body dysmorphia and all that stuff where it's like, I'm never enough. But if I'm honest with myself, I can look in the mirror and be like, okay, I can maintain. Right. Like I'm comfortable. Right. Like I can go anywhere with my shirt off. Absolutely. Like I am extremely comfortable wearing any type of clothing. Right. I've made it to the point of I respect my body. Right. And so it's like, shit, that hunger is gone. Yeah. Right. Now you're just kind of maintaining, so it's like the cycle, right? So you start hungry as fuck. And like, I relate it to what you were talking about, like with Connor and all them. Obviously that's at a whole nother level. Sure. But it's not though. It's like
Yeah,
the same
same
fucking
battle.
thing. It's like it's the same. Like you had a goal, you reached the goal.
Right.
Right. So now when you've reached those goals or when you're comfortable, I think that's where it's okay. Well, now it's I showed this to you again. I won't share the person that made this story or made this analogy. It's fucking amazing. But if I say the name, everyone's gonna be like, "Buh."
Especially right now.
But but it's comparing, right?
Yeah.
It's all about comparing. I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Where we can compare. Like we need an enemy,
Right.
right? We gotta have an enemy. Like I think as men, like there needs to be something to beat. You gotta have something to beat.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, with my mindset, who I am. Somebody else might not have this. Somebody else may be more into Buddhism and whatever. And that's fucking great. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Right.
Turn this off if that's you, because you're not going to agree with me and you're not going to relate to anything I'm saying.
Yep.
So it's like, that's fine. I have in my head, I want to conquer. I want to be, I want to fucking drive and push. I want to be important. I want to prove myself. That's my mindset.
Yeah.
Right. And someone may say that's super toxic. That's gross.
Yeah.
Then this isn't for you.
Sure.
But for the man that wants to be great, for the man that wants to fucking be driven and purposeful and prove himself and all that, to that man, I feel, and I agree with this person wholeheartedly with this way, the way that he described it is you got to have an enemy. And we usually choose the wrong enemy. We think about like Drake or some rich person, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, like fuck him. Like he's got all this money, he's got all these girls, he's got all this stuff. And it's like, no, like that's not, that can't be your enemy.
Right.
Somebody else can't be your enemy. And so what he was saying to do is he's like, you need to create an enemy.
Yeah.
And you need to create an enemy that always does the right thing,
Right.
that always does the hard thing and the right thing. You know, if he sees a girl, he always approaches the hot girl that he wants to go talk to. You know, he never misses a day at the gym. He never slacks at work. You know, he's always there for his friend. He always keeps his word. He's always there for his partner. He always listens to his child. You know, like he's always doing the right thing. And he goes, and that enemy is the you that you could be.
Right.
It's you. It's you, but it's you doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. Right? It's just you. And so when you have that like weird thought, like, or that lazy thought, like you just want to hit the snooze button, you don't want to get up and train. It's like, no, but you would. The you that you want to be would. He wouldn't miss a day. Right. You know, and if you're nervous to talk to that girl, no, the you would go talk to that girl, or the you would. And like, that's who you're comparing yourself to. That's who's pushing you and driving you. Because when you get really comfortable, you're like,
Yeah.
like, it's not really that important. I'm okay. It's like, no, you're not okay, because you could be this. You could be that man that never fucking doesn't do what he's supposed to do. And then it's like, fuck, you're right. So it's like the cycle, right? That's what I'm getting at is you're gonna reach a goal, right? You're gonna have this mentality, and you're gonna be like driven, and you're gonna whatever. You're gonna get your $100,000 in the bank, or you're gonna do whatever it is that you wanted to do. Like, it's gonna happen if you fucking push yourself, right? You're gonna get it. If you fucking work your ass off and get it, you're gonna get it. But it's like, that's not enough. Like, because now it's like this mentality can't just shift. Like, the pain is a necessary growth. Like, pain is extremely necessary for growth. So it's like, if you just have this mindset where you have this enemy that is constantly doing the right thing, and you're constantly fighting this enemy. You know, his bank account's so much higher than yours. You know, his whatever it is. You don't care about money? Okay, pick a different one. Pick something else that you know that you would do if you had the choice and you never were lazy. Right? And I think then you're just constantly, people probably hear that and they probably think it's psychotic. But there's something about constantly putting yourself in hard shit in today's day in America. Some people in other parts of the country don't need to put themselves in hard shit.
Sure.
The hard shit was thrown on them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And some people even in this country.
Yep.
Right? And if you are one of those people that hard shit's being thrown on, then it's like what we said in the beginning, you know, like go, do, do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
move.
Absolutely.
Don't be stagnant.
Don't be
right?
stagnant. And I think, okay, I also think that there's a scripture that says, I can't have a podcast with you where I don't mention at least
Of
one
course.
scripture. Sorry. God bless. It says from strength to strength, right? So go from strength to strength. You'll be brought from strength to strength. And a lot of men, especially, it goes for everybody, but especially men as they get older, middle-aged, and then later, feel abandoned, or like they're like sitting in the chair in the corner with nothing to do,
Right.
and so they lose their passion. And
Absolutely.
and I think the key, and I've read a few books on this, but I think a key to this is understanding when it's time to change your role. And because like, let's say we'll talk bodybuilding for a second. We'll keep it very practical. You go to the gym, and I was trying to come off the walker. I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to improve my body, right? So that I can walk. I am stronger. I'm stronger than I've ever been, and blah, blah, blah. Very kind, almost self-centered goals, right?
Sure.
But here's the thing. There comes a time when you get out of the pit. You've climbed out of the pit, and now you're on the outside of the pit. And now I'm not saying that I'm there. I still have many goals to achieve. I still can't run, right? Because of my balance issues, for example. And I would love to. But in a lot of ways, I have come so far,
Hell
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now, so here's the thing. The role has changed. And the role in this case, when it comes to bodybuilding, for example, is like when you start bodybuilding, you start going for you in the beginning. You start looking for your own gains. You're starting to look for your own improvement. Once you start to see the improvements and the gains in the mirror, and now you've gotten to a place of complacency potentially, you have now gotten out of the pit. And if you keep trying to, if you just continue to look at yourself, you might grow tired or lazy or complacent. But I think if you shift your role and you turn around and you look back down into the pit, you might see a whole lot of other people that need to be helped out of the pit.
100%.
So when you change the role, sometimes it is you turn around, you realize you're out of the pit, but you put a hand down into the pit and you pull someone up out with you.
Yep.
And I think it's really important to just understand when your role has changed. When your role has changed, sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of your original goal, which for bodybuilding, it may have been just focusing on your own sets in the gym.
Sure.
And suddenly you start to think about, okay, who else needs my encouragement? Who else needs a hand up? Who else needs to be shown a tip?
Yeah.
And so your role at the gym changes. You're no longer there just for you. You're suddenly big bro.
100%.
know?
Do you think that when you're driven, this is hard because I think some people do have very selfish ambition, right? I just want to make money. I just want this. I just want that. I just want. I want to be clear. Like, that's not what I mean. Right. That's weird.
Yeah.
Because
perverted almost.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because it's not, you're not great.
Right.
You know, I'm not really like I understand, Kobe Bryant, I want to be the best basketball player of all time. Right. And it's like, I'm not even personally for that for me.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I kind of stand by it. If you're great at everything, you can't be the best at anything. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're stretched too thin.
Yeah.
If you're a great dad and you're a great friend and you're a great partner and you're a great business owner, you don't have the capacity to be the best business owner.
Right.
Because that best business owner is only interested in his business.
And that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you think that when your mindset is to be great, at everything, right? Like you want to have a great mind, you want to have a great body, you want to be great emotionally, you want to be great spiritually, all that. Do you think that it just will you'll just kind of naturally care about the hurt, the people that are hurting, the people that aren't there, like you'll see yourself, right? You won't even really, tell me what you think. Like you won't even really have to try.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're just going to see yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to see somebody that's just hurting, that has low self-esteem. And it's like you're looking in a fucking mirror.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, man.
I gotta help that person.
Yeah. Like I know that.
Yeah.
Right. I know that pain.
feeling.
I know that lack. Right.
Yeah.
And you're just, when you're focused on just being fucking great, not for that selfish, like,
personal ambition.
Yeah, but just to be fucking great, I think you'll just naturally care.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's part of greatness, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think
But you can get lost in it.
Here's where you get lost.
In the drive or whatever.
If you don't find the next step, the next strength, like the next season, then you get lost.
Sure.
And here's the problem about getting lost. Sometimes you're dead. When you get lost, you're dead before you know you're lost.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So, like, if you're not looking for the next thing, as far as like what your next role might be, you're going to get lost, because ultimately
it's intentionality, right?
Like if you're okay, I don't want to sound like John Maxwell here for a second, but if you don't care about other people, you're going to stagnate.
Yes, 100%.
And because if you're a leader, the natural progression is, once you have gone through something, you should be looking for an opportunity to then serve other people what you've gone through, so they can get through too.
That's what I mean. Like you just have this natural, you want to pass on. Like you want to.
Right.
You don't want to hold all this in. Like
Yeah.
you want to like be able to lead
Help
and to guide and to help.
Right.
Right. If it's not this crazy perverted, selfish ambition that's just, I need to be the best. I think that word best, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I just never liked that word.
Yeah, because
me.
Yeah, because the best would pretend that you're actually in competition against other people.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't care.
In reality, you're not.
No.
None of us ever are.
Yeah.
And it's never about okay, I'm going to sound real cheesy for a second. But like some people say they put God first. Right? It's like a very common Christianese
God shouldn't be first.
I'm going to put God first.
Yeah, he's number one on the
it's
priority
like if you're
list.
putting God first, you're putting a number on God, which means that you think that God can be shoved to number 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
That it's an option.
It's an option. Like you've got the chance to do that. And it's the same way with competition with other people. Like when we use the word best, like I'm the best whatever.
Yeah.
I'm the best speaker. I'm the best whatever.
Sure.
Right? It's pretending that there are other people that are lesser than me or better than me. And it's an imaginary standard that we've placed upon ourselves. And the cycle of that is if you think you're better than someone, I guarantee you'll find someone who's better than you.
Yeah, and they will be eventually.
You're
not going to be the best forever.
And if that is the case, that means that you are setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's not to diminish, I mean, there is like statistical stuff, right? Like Mr. Olympia, that year, you are the best bodybuilder in the world. You are the best.
Right.
And like, I would never discourage someone from trying to be that.
Sure.
The best.
Right.
In
like
their...
the C-bomb or the Sulik or the...
Yeah. And I wouldn't even, that would be so weird and like petty for me to be like, that's gay. Blah, blah. I'm just saying, for me personally, I never really view, like, I want to be fucking great. Like I wake up every morning, like be better, man. And like I like purposely I don't really ever try to like be somebody else or be better than somebody else or be the best in the room, like to be the best whatever. It's like, I don't care what anybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like great. Like, be amazing. Let's be amazing together.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. Right? Like, that's my mentality. Like, 100%. But it's like, and then when you have the mentality of like, where I need to be the best, you're just trying to fucking push people. Like there's something that comes with that. Like, you'll do anything to be the best then. Where it's like, just to be fucking great. And to be great at everything. I was just reading this book by this samurai guy. I forget the name of him, but it's called the Book of the Five Rings, I think it is.
I've heard of that one, yeah.
Mati something.
Yeah. I can't remember the name, but I've heard of it.
Pretty much what he was saying is to like be a samurai, and to be like a good samurai or a great samurai needs to be completely balanced. He needs to be not only great with his sword, he needs to be a gardener.
Yep.
And he needs to be a builder, and he needs to be a meditator, and he needs to be a mathematician. Like, he needs to be complete. Like, it's a completeness, right? So, and that's what got me to thinking, well, then he can't be the best.
Right.
He won't be the best swordsman.
Yeah.
Because he is spending so much time
gardening or whatever. Yeah.
But this ancient, amazing samurai is saying that's yes.
Right.
Because he needs to be complete. And it's like, I really feel that that's part of, it's just such a healthy mindset, is to be great. We kind of went into that, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think it's part, because it all comes down to, how do you be great? You go through pain.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That to
circle
back to sadness and pain.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole podcast potentially where I sit and talk about all the reasons I was sad last year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole episode where you sit here and tell us why you were sad.
Sure.
And we could go on forever. But I think if we were to make it more simple and cut to the chase, is like the why we're sad sometimes. If we can kind of understand that, we can sometimes solve a lot of the sadness. And so, for example,
100%.
when I was sad last year, a big part of it was that I was heartbroken and let down from expectations that I'd had in my mind.
Sure.
And it was to do with work. It was to do with a potential, a wishful relationship. It was to do with, where I would be in life. It was all the expectations, the shoulds. I had should all over myself and smelled like should. And
I hate that word.
I
should.
know. And so here's the thing. Anytime you are creating this perception of what you should be, and you're putting it on yourself like an expectation or a standard, again, back to best, that idea of best or whatever it may be, you are setting yourself up to time travel. You're looking at the past, or you're looking at the future. And Jim Carrey talked about this when he was going through some agony a few years back. And in an interview, he said, I don't time travel. I'm in the present.
Yes.
I am here, and a lot of my agony has disappeared because I'm here and I'm nowhere else.
Yeah.
If I am sitting at home in my feels, thinking about, what I don't have, for example, if I don't own my own house, my 401k isn't existent. I don't have this or this. It's like, okay, sure, maybe some of that stuff's true, some of it, right?
Yeah.
But what good is it doing to you and for you to exist in that place of wishing?
Yeah.
And wanting, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think the different, so I like to use the word could.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you use that word should, it's 100% past.
Yeah.
And future. But when I say 100%, I don't mean like it's for sure dwelling in the past. You know what I mean? Like 100%.
Yeah.
Like, because, I should be this by now.
Right.
Right? So all you're dwelling on is all your fuck ups.
Yeah.
Well, I should be this.
Right.
Well, why should you be? And it's like, well, because, and it's like, well, no. Well, look at what you could be.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah.
Now there's potential.
Right.
Right? Like I could be this, I could be that. And whatever your goals or ambitions or to have a house or to have it like changes it. It changes the light of it. Right? Like I could have my house.
Right.
I could have a house, right? If you're renting or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I could. All right, how do I get it? Right? It's not, now you're not dwelling. Now you're not fucking being sad or you're not whatever. It's you're seeing the potential that you have and the potential that you could have, right? I think that you know what I'm saying? Do you agree with that? Like the difference between should and could.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like there's no like self-disdain attached to could.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And self-loathing and like weird expectations.
Yes.
Right? Well, this is what you should be doing. It's like, well, you don't know me, right? You can tell that to yourself. Like, what do you mean? Like, I should be that? Like, look at what I've been through. Like, yeah, I should also be dead. And I should also be fucking, not even having an apartment. And I should also be 100 pounds fucking in bed still. Like, I should be all those things too, you fucker, right? You tell yourself that. But it's easy to say, well, you should have your own place and you should have this. It's like, well, I should also be a lot less than I am too.
Right.
And you don't want to go there either.
Right.
So it's like, fuck should. It's like, what could we be, right? That's just how I feel.
Yeah, it reminds me of a lot of like the Stoic thought and like philosophy and like Stoicism. A big part of Stoicism, big principle of Stoicism is to basically, to make it very simple, is to focus on what is within your power to control,
100%,
instead of on what is not.
Yeah,
and so if you're I think that's basically what you're doing when you're using words like should, and you're time traveling and you're in your head on all these things. Just no, it's like, what can I control? So I guess like another thing is, if you're sad and you're in pain right now, right? Yeah. Like if like someone listened this far into the podcast and they've gone on every single one of these tangents and they're listening to this right now and maybe they're in a rough spot, like contemplating, God forbid, contemplating suicide, like, first of all, get help, like we've talked about. Sure. Talk to someone. But simplify.
Yeah, that's good.
Simplify. It is time to let go of everything for just a moment. Let go of expectations. Let go of your thoughts of what the future needs to be. Let go of thinking about your past. Let go of regret and guilt and shame. Just let it go for a minute. Maybe not forever. Come back to it. Give yourself permission to put it down and simplify. Do the work in the future or in like the time coming up, right? You can do the deep work, but for right now, simplify. And so what could that look like? That could look like a lot of things. For me, in the past year, what it said is I stopped. I'm a very type 1 personality, and I've always got goals, and I've always got dreams, and I'm always like writing them down in journals, and like I'm going for it, right? I got to the end of last year after being very, very, very sad, and I got to a point, and I said, you know what? I'm going to start the new year. I'm going to get lost for a moment. For a moment's time, I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to just focus on coming back to the simple things. What's that mean? I'm going to make sure my apartment's clean.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to go back to the gym and train. I'm going to read books again. I'm going to get some flowers and put them in my apartment because I like flowers.
Yeah. I love
I'm going to watch some movies every once in a while.
Man.
I'm going to call people that actually reciprocate love and care.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm going to spend time with friends that reciprocate and care. I'm going, simplify. Cut it down for just a moment.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to like put the fire out on every single corner of your house, just try to simplify. Keep it simple and get back to finding your ground, your steady ground. Like put your feet back on firm foundation. So yeah.
I love that. And I think that's actually like a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because I love that. That's why. That's good shit.
Mm.
Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks, bro.
As always, bro.
Yeah, fantastic.
Always great conversation.
Hell
The
yeah.
funniest part about this is every time I come on is, for obviously the listeners are listening to a podcast, but what they don't know is oftentimes when we're in the middle of the gym in between a set, we have conversations that sound a lot like
Very
this.
similar. It's the same thing.
Just a lot quicker, synthesized,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, or our phone calls if we're on the phone or whatever. We're just getting to like it's the nothing changes. Like it's
Right.
just there happens to be a mic in front of us.
that's it.
It's the exact same
And
thing.
that's
Yeah.
the fun part.
Awesome. Love you, bro.
All right, man.
Thanks,
Love you,
man.
dude. I'll catch you soon.
Thanks, guys. Catch you later.